everybody. It's so great to have everybody here. Thank you so much for joining us, everyone on the chat, as well as anyone watching the recording. We are going to be talking today to Tiffany Scott, who is a branding expert, and I'm so honored to have you here, Tiffany. Thanks so much for taking time out of your day. Tiffany and I met at a women's group. It's primarily for women, called The Bright Side of Life, and it was a 2-day conference, and I believe the title of it was The Bright Side of Everything.
Yes.
Yeah, and it was just a really powerful event, so many great speakers, and Tiffany was talking about the importance of branding, and for some reason that stood out to me at that time, that is not something that I really have seen at different conferences where there is a focus for small businesses on branding. So I thought this would be a really great opportunity to share this knowledge and information and give small business owners and entrepreneurs an understanding of what branding is. So just to briefly introduce myself, my name is Sarah, and I am the CEO and founder of Blue Lotus Films, and we're based in the San Francisco Bay Area, and we work with conscious entrepreneurs as well as inspiring artists, and we help them raise their visibility so that they can gain more customers and be seen in the marketplace. So the purpose of this podcast, Video Vitamin, is a chance to share information on wealth building, on marketing, now on branding, and other business advice that conscious business owners can take and implement into their business right away. So the idea is by the end of the podcast, you will have some tangible steps and information that you can literally go and implement into your business and make a difference. So I want to introduce you to our guest today, Tiffany Scott, and this is what Tiffany is all about. Tiffany has a passion for helping people discover their uniqueness so that they have a thriving brand. With over 15 years experience as a branding expert, her talks share secrets from world-renowned brands such as Speedo that can be applied to everybody. Based in Los Angeles, the Australian native honed her skills working for powerhouse international brands for re-injecting life and vibrancy into a household name as iconic as Speedo and international rugby brand Canterbury of New Zealand, to taking the helm as creative director at Miller's, a retail powerhouse with over 350 stores. She has proved that there is no challenge too great, and it's all about attitude. In LA, Tiffany helps entrepreneurs around the globe to master their message so that they dive into their greater purpose, build in-demand brands, and raving fan communities. Her clients are soul-led leaders with big messages to share and courage that is downright inspiring. So I love that. Thank you, Tiffany, for being here. And how is your day going so far?
Sorry, you cut out there. How is
your day going so far? I know you just got back from camping.
I did. I just spent 5 blissful days up in Kings Canyon by a lake there, hammock and reading my book. So yeah, it was great. And my day so far is amazing. I'm very grateful. I live in LA and I literally look out my window and can see the ocean. So I'm very blessed to be able to do that and have the luxury from working from my home as well. So can't complain.
Seriously. Yeah, that's awesome. Wow. Yeah, I can imagine as growing up in Australia, like you would really miss the water if you weren't living nearby a body of water.
Yeah, I grew up fairly close to the water, so I need to be a stone's throw from the ocean. It feeds my soul, that's for sure. I can't live without it. I've done it before, but I don't enjoy it. So, yeah.
Very cool. Well, let's dive right in because I know that people are really excited to hear from you. And first of all, what I'd love to do is give people a definition of branding. A lot of times we hear this and people might think this only applies to bigger brands. At least that's my perception as a small business owner, that they might think it's not important to think about right now. So what is branding? Can you give us a definition?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's great that you bring that to the surface, because the reality is that everything and everyone has a brand. It's just a matter of the definition of that brand, whether it's weak or strong, or it's visible or it's invisible. So even particularly as we're speaking to an audience of entrepreneurs and solopreneurs and small business owners, you have to be aware that every time you're representing yourself, whether it's in social media, like what we're doing now, podcasting, whatever it is, networking events, face-to-face, you're representing your brand. So brand is really important and often overlooked, like you said. So the definition of a brand really is the same for what it is for an entrepreneur as it is for a big brand or a big business. And that is, it's showing up consistently. It's an expectation that people have of you as a brand, whether it's a person or a product or a bigger entity than that. So it's showing up consistently, having a message, having a story, having something that feels tangible, that people can connect with, that they want to be a part of, that they want to be inspired by, and it brings value as well. So whether the value is, say, a Walmart value, or it might be a Tiffany's and Co value, but it's a value that customers, clients expect and know time in and time out that that's what they're going to get. So it's a delivery of service, a product that you can consistently offer, that is within good standing, that's always going to live up to people's expectations. So that's a short, quick summary of what a brand is.
That is so helpful, especially the part you said about showing up consistently. And I don't think it's about just like being in people's faces. Tell me if I'm wrong, but the consistency of sharing your story and sharing your message and doing it in a way that's very clear. I think that's a challenge for a lot of entrepreneurs, because we want to be in front of everybody. We don't want to turn people away. I mean, there's a percentage of people that get it. But I would say artists, in terms of their personal brand, they probably get this more than like entrepreneurs, because they understand their uniqueness, and it's like embracing their uniqueness and their story just through their lyrics. Just sort of like.
Yeah, you got it 100%. Yeah. And that's a really good analogy as well. Like, artists do really embrace their uniqueness, and for whatever reason, entrepreneurs really struggle with that. And, when I work with my clients, one of the main things that they're really challenged with is, how do I define what makes me unique so I can stand out in the marketplace is one. And the other thing is, how do I message that in a really clear and concise way so I can attract my ideal audience, I can attract my perfect clients, I can, and even repel those that they're not meant to serve either. So it really is, it's being really clear on what makes you unique and different, what you stand for, and also who you want to serve, because you might have a product that you want to put out there, but it doesn't necessarily mean that the people that you're attracting want to buy that product, whether that product is you or your service, or whether it's a physical product as such. So.
Great. Well, we're going to delve more into what branding is all about and try to really understand what a framework is for branding. But what I would love to do right now, Tiffany, I'd love to give people an idea of, how did you get started in branding? What interested you about going into this field as a career?
Yeah. So I started off as a graphic designer, and when I was graphic designing, I was always really interested about and curious around the strategy around brands and marketing, and how they're developed and how to develop them, and connecting with the audience. And story was something that I always really loved. So I very quickly, luckily for me, I had an amazing mentor very early on in my career. And that's why I love what I do, because I consider what I do mentoring. I had someone that really pushed me outside of my comfort zone and kept telling me I can do more, I can be more. And then when I was working as a graphic designer in this particular company, pushed me into the marketing director role very quickly. And I was like, oh my gosh, you're crazy. You don't know what you're dealing with here. But he had faith in me and taught me how to have faith in myself as well. And that's a big part of what, particularly with entrepreneurs and personal branding, it's having faith that you have enough, that you are enough to step up and stand out and be that light and be that pillar and be that spokesperson for people as well. So, then I was very fortunate. I kind of went from strength to strength, and I worked in marketing departments and headed up marketing departments and basically did everything around I possibly could do with a brand. And it was, marketing, it was the branding, it was the creative, it was everything that I was fortunate enough to be able to throw myself into. So I got a very well-rounded experience in all those kind of facets of growing a brand and growing an audience for a brand and a business as well. So looking after lots of very big marketing budgets and seeing and having some tough learnings as well, like spending money on campaigns that weren't successful and really being able to explore through that as well. So yeah, long story short, that's how I started, got into branding. And now branding is really in the core and heart of what I do. And that's why I love, going from corporate and working with business owners, people that, like you, purpose-driven business owners that want to make an impact, that want to make a difference. But, as human beings, we all have stuff. We all have our stuff in the way of whatever it is, limiting beliefs or, I'm not good enough or that person's better than me. So really working with them with the skills and expertise I learned through corporate and harnessing that and showing them that they are everything that they need to be and it's their time. So it's really, really rewarding.
Wow. That's amazing. That's amazing. Yeah. Just such a big, boost to people's confidence to know that you've worked for these bigger brands and that, like you said, you've seen the hardship and what can go wrong. And I'm sure at these corporations, there's a lot at stake. Like they don't want things to go in the wrong direction. But what can you tell us? I think what would be really interesting to hear is, a success story, like after some hardship you had, if you're able to, at one of these bigger companies you worked for, what is one example of a success story with branding?
The biggest success story that I love to share is really around not devising, but finding a story within a brand. And that was Speedo. So Speedo, a lot of Americans don't realize this, but Speedo was actually born in Australia. It was an Australian brand. So it's very iconic there, as it is here. And it was later bought out by a British brand. And I had the opportunity working with Speedo. There is this museum in Sydney called the Powerhouse Museum. And there's this wonderful lady that spent a lot of years and time and effort, loved the Speedo brand and archived a lot of Speedo history, from the swimwear to all the old marketing material. And she kept it in the museum. You literally went down these stairs into this dehumidified room. So it was cold down there. So you wore a jacket, and there'll be like these stainless steel drawers where you could open them up, and there would be like swimwear from like the 1940s and 50s and 60s, still made out of wool. And it was really just a great experience to go down there. But what they also had was they had tons and tons of old marketing material. And by going through that marketing material, I really got the essence of what the brand originally stood for and where it came from. And this happens with entrepreneurs, it happens with big brands, and I've seen it time and time again, is for whatever reason, there's lots of different reasons. Normally it's because people get the shiny bright object syndrome comes in, or new CEOs come in, or new marketing managers come in and they want to put their stamp on things. Yeah. And brands tend to lose their way. And this has happened with you know, most of the best brands out there have lost their way at some stage or another because they've forgotten what the core story is of their brand, their purpose of their brand. And so by going down into those archives, I could bring up all these great old stories of the brand that I brought back to life. So there was beautiful marketing material around. They did a whole campaign down at the beach, down at Bondi Beach. They did bikinis and board shorts and all this great it was a marketer's dream, basically. That we took those archived products and brought it back into this into now. We redid some of the swimwear, like remember the gingham underwire swimwear, high-waisted bikinis, things, really great things. And the campaign was a huge success because it had a true, authentic story around it. Yeah. And that's what every brand needs. That's what every entrepreneur, that's what every small business needs, is that story that's really true to that person and that business. So
wow, that's amazing. And, you know, just hearing that, it just makes me want to go out and buy something from Speedo. I mean, I'm not being facetious at all. Like, I do think that storytelling is so powerful. And that was one reason that, you know, not just myself, but I think other people at the conference, you know, your message stood out, because I remember, if you don't mind me relaying what you said, I remember very distinctly, like Sahar, the person moderating the conference, she asked everyone to introduce themselves and say one thing that they hadn't, if I remember correctly, one thing they hadn't said at another conference and that people didn't know about you. And this was the second day of the conference. And I remember you told a story about working with naked Olympians or like naked sports people, and the image, it's like right away. And I went, okay, if she is able to give a snippet like that, you know, I mean, it just exemplifies what you're doing in your business, right? So I think that was such a good example, because now the event is 2 months later and I don't remember what anybody said about their business. They didn't tell a story. They didn't even give, you know, a short story that stood out. So, so how do you, I hope this question is clear, but I'm really wondering how we can integrate storytelling in branding. How does that work specifically?
Yeah, well, again, if we're talking about entrepreneurs and small business owners, it's really reflecting back on your own personal story. And that's what people connect with. So the thing that I often do with my clients is just get them to start writing. Just get them to start writing about their own life story. And within that, there are so many, or I always find what I call golden pieces, you know, golden nuggets. There's just so many great pieces within your life that you're just taking for granted. You're not even seeing the beauty in the experiences that you've had, that people are going to really connect with. Now, sometimes that's really hard to do on your own because it's you, right? You can't see the forest through the trees. So that's why I love exploring story with all of my clients and showing them that, oh my gosh, yes, that little piece there, or that big piece there, we have to bring that out. And that piece there, that needs to come out. And then there really is a system and a process around where you put it. If you're speaking on stage, if you're writing a bio, if you want to include your story on your website, if you want to speak about it through social media, you take all those little pieces of golden nuggets and bring them together. And that creates the essence and story around your brand and your message. And that's why people are going to connect with you always. And like I did at the conference that day, I knew that I was on a panel with 6 other people. I knew that if I wanted to make a difference and stand out, I had to tell a story. Now, I made sure that I told a story that was true. I did spend a lot of time working with half-naked Olympians. I did. But it also, like you said, it created a picture in people's minds. So when you're developing story, you have to make sure that you're creating a picture, you're creating emotions so people can connect with you. And not all people are going to connect with your story, and that's fine too. They're not meant to. They're not your tribe, as they say. So story, yeah, that's a little snippet into how you create story and pick the right pieces.
Awesome. Thank you. And I think that story also helps people with clarity, right? Like,
yes.
I think I had heard something, I just happened to listen to this podcast with Donald Miller. I don't know if you're familiar with him.
No, I've heard of his name, but I'm not totally familiar.
Yeah, I didn't know much about him, but he is also, a branding person, and he runs a company called Brand Story, I think.
Oh, great.
And he said something that stuck with me that I wanted to share, which was how human beings are really attracted to clarity. And so it's not that we're dumb. It's not that, we are out there seeking everything to be dumbed down for us. But there's actually been studies that have shown if you try to communicate, for example, politicians trying to communicate at like an 8th grade level, then people won't remember the information. And it actually takes more brain power. He said it actually burns more calories. Like it's that expending much energy, right? I thought that was fascinating. And so if we're communicating at a 4th grade level, then people are able to more instantly understand us. And I think that story does that from what I get, because people are not just thinking with their brains, we're communicating with emotion. And when we think like brands like Apple and Nike and Starbucks, it's like we're going for the feeling and what the story is behind these places. Not that, necessarily we, thought we had to have an iPhone for 10 years before we even knew of an iPhone,
Right.
So
it's really about connection. It's all about connection, and particularly in a day and age that we do live in this digital age where we can do what you and I are doing right now, where we don't have to be in the same room as each other. That connection is, I think, even more important. I mean, human connection is always, it's the core of who we are. But now I think there seems to be like a real yearning for it. So that's why we've got our head in our phones looking at Instagram and Facebook and, cute furry pictures of animals and all these sorts of things, because we're craving that connection. Now, it's debatable about whether we're getting that connection in the right way, but it's really important. And that's the core of everything around your brand, is really developing that connection, that emotion, so people keep coming back for more and more, and they advocate for you, they support you, they love you. Sometimes they're going to hate you, and that's okay as well. But it's really creating a connection for people. So yeah, you got it.
Amazing. I love it. Well, I have a couple more questions for you. One of the questions, I was curious, have you had any resistance to branding your own company? Because I know sometimes it's easier as an entrepreneur, to do for other people, what we really need to do for ourselves. So if you don't mind, just would love to hear, any challenges that you've had.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's such a great question, because it's so true. We can't, it's very hard to do for ourselves what we do for others. And as much as I'm always saying to people that I connect with and talk with in my own clients that get frustrated, why can't I figure out my own story, and why can't I get clear on my message? It's because you can't, like I keep saying, I think somebody said to me, I love repeating this, I can't remember, I wish I could quote who it was, but somebody said to me in a conversation one day that you can't see your own eyeball unless you're looking in the mirror. And so what I say is, I'm just the mirror for you. I'm holding up the mirror so you can't, because you can't see what you can't see. So yes, I have had, I don't know if it's resistance, but I've had challenges definitely branding myself, because I am too close to it. You know, it's like we're all on this journey of self-discovery. Am I? What do I stand for? It's the same thing when you're going through your branding process. It's like, who am I? What do I want to stand for? Who do I want to attract? Who do I want to serve? What products do I want to develop so I can you know, make money or make a difference or whatever it is for people. People have different things and ideas, but so for me, I have a business coach, and I had to get him to take me through my own process because I couldn't do it myself. And it was a really great experience because, for one, I could see how powerful it was. And for two, I could see any gaps that I felt like I could refine, that maybe that I was missing as well, that I could improve on too. So yeah.
Thank you.
Yes, I haven't done it all myself.
Yeah, that's amazing. Just shows the value of coaching, that, you know, having other people to support us is like so crucial. Yeah. Coming back to that connection again, where we're not meant to be solo beings, you know, we're meant to co-create and collaborate and be together. That's the way that we're made. So to live in a silo and constantly try and do things on our own can be self-debilitating at times. So reaching out, which some of us find so hard so many times, is reaching out and saying, hey, I need help, and not being too proud to ask for that, and stepping out and saying, you know, you can help me, then that's a brave thing to do. Yes. And it really seems like the only way forward. You know, if you're going to get up the top of the mountain as an entrepreneur, you can get to a certain point, you know, and see some valleys, but so to speak, but
But who wants to be up there on your own, right? That's boring. You want to share that.
Yeah. It's exciting for like a minute, but then,
right.
And you see you know, you've got to get to the top, and no one climbs Mount Everest without other people around. So.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, one more question for you, Tiffany. Just in terms of practical information, are there some tips that you can give to people about, you know, getting started? What could they do today just to be able to start either thinking about their branding strategy or actual steps they can take to improve their branding?
Yeah. So one thing, like I mentioned earlier, that I would recommend is just start writing out your story. I always say write it. There's something about putting pen to paper that is very magical, that brings out a lot of creative juices. I mean, I have some clients that type things as well. I'm a mix of both. I write things and type things. But whatever you do, just, you know, even if it's just 5 minutes a day, just start thinking about things that have happened in your past that you really feel like have formed who you are today, and start writing about those things. It's a really good start, because they're the sorts of things that are going to help you reconnect with who you are. And then once you stand in that power and feel empowered to be able to share that, that's how people are going to connect with you as well. So if you're going to start doing things on your own, that would be one thing. The other thing I would really think about is, and this is harder to do on your own, this is a lot of what I do with my clients, is help them get clear on what their message is and how to clearly present that, articulate that, talk to that. But again, just start writing about what's your message, what's your purpose, why do you do what you do, what excites you about it, what doesn't excite you about it, all those sorts of things, because they're the sorts of things that start conversations when you're talking on social media or you're being interviewed or whatever it is. They're really great conversation starters. So and again, people want to be connected with something that they feel that they see in themselves in you as well. And if you're shining that light and you're being vulnerable and you're being open, that gives them the strength to do the same. So write your story. I do a lot of writing exercises. So sorry if you don't like writing, but it works. It really works. Writing out what your purpose is, again, the things that you don't like. And another really great exercise to do is write out who you want to work with. Not who you don't want to work with, but really concentrate on who you want to work with, because it's a really, really magnetic exercise. When you get really clear on who you want to work with, you start attracting that. every single client I've worked with since I've started my business, I have absolutely loved from the bottom of my heart. I cherish them to the bone. And I know that that's because I took the time and effort, and my coach had a big part to play in this as well. I took the time and effort to sit down and really be clear on who I wanted to work with. And I concentrated on more on the positives than the negatives, as far as I don't want to work with this person, I don't want to work with that person. It was more like, no, I want this person to be very purpose driven. They want to make an impact. I work predominantly with women because I have a huge heart for working with women and getting them to really stand up and rise up.
Yeah.
I want to work with people that, are really, like I said, that they want to make an impact. That's a huge part for me, and because that inspires me as well. Because when you're working with people that really want to make a difference, and they care about people, and they, whatever it is, for some people it's environmental, for some people it's healing, for some people it's coaching.
Yeah.
I have a mix of different people. I have a great marketing expert that's based in Panama. Really great people. But get really clear, even down to, where do they spend their time? Like, do they like camping like you do? Do they, are they bookworms? Are they in the theater? Are they music buffs? Like, all those details, they actually matter. So spending time on that as well. And the other thing I would say is, like, for your brand is, and this goes hand in hand with your business, like, what sort of life do you want to live? Do you want to live an impact-driven life where you're working 40 hours a week and you're flying around the world and you're speaking on stages? Or do you want to live a life where you work, and either is fine, they can both be just as impactful, where you only work 3 or 4 days a week and you have 3 or 4 day weekends for creative energy or your music or whatever it is that you have. So get really clear on what your big vision is as well.
Yeah. Oh, wow. That was so much great information. And I'm going to be going back to the podcast and taking notes. I hope everyone can just rewind that part seriously and just go through that exercise, because I think,
well, I hope it wasn't too much information. Sorry. Could have gone on and on and on.
I bet. Yeah. Yeah. No, but there were a lot of nuggets there. And I think that, the real nugget I got out of it was, expressing your uniqueness, that, we don't want people to think of us like every other business in the marketplace. For example, there are tons of video production companies in San Francisco, in the Bay Area. And when I decided to go freelance and I decided, to go out as an entrepreneur, I had to think, like, well, there are lots of places that need video. Like, everyone needs a video. This was 5 years ago, not as popular to do videos as it is today. But I still made the decision, like, I don't want to work with Wells Fargo Bank. I don't want to work with Chase. I don't want to even work with, like, Intel or, some of these bigger corporations that have a very old school mentality about video. And what they're doing, while it's a service, and I'm sure they do have, things, their products and services do help people, I'm more interested in heart-centered entrepreneurs and people focused specifically on health and wellness, because those are my values. So yeah, I'm going to really meditate on this and think about it even more. But I totally get what you're saying. So I hope other people can go through this exercise as well.
Yeah, awesome. And just one thing I want to add that you just brought up is values are really key for your brand. Like, really getting connected with what your values are, because values are often overlooked, but they're always running in the background. Values drive the way that we connect with people, the way that why we don't connect with people, why we spend the days that we do, whether it's hiking or camping or theater or books. Like, they come back to our values. So values exercise is a key part of what I do with my clients. So I'm glad you brought up values.
Oh, awesome. Very cool. Well, we want to let everyone know where they can find you, Tiffany. So where should people go to contact you, get in touch, and learn more about you?
Yeah, so you can go to my website, which is www.youmeshecollective, so YOUMESHE collective.com. And you can email me through there, or you can email me at info@youmeshecollective.com. Find me on Facebook, Tiffany Scott Presents Yumishi, Instagram, yumishi_collective, and so on and so forth. But I'd love to hear from you. If you've got any questions, I'd love to get on the phone and chat with you and help you in any way that I can.
Great. And I'm just posting the link here because I see there's a button. So anyone watching on Huzza, which is the video chat website we're recording this on, they can now just click on Tiffany's website right there. And I encourage everyone to go there and get in touch with her and start focusing on your branding, start delving into this and seeing how it can really transform your business.
Yeah.
So if you have a moment, Tiffany, maybe we could take a question or two from the audience. Is that okay?
Absolutely. I'd love that.
Very cool. Is there anyone that has a question? So Joanne says, can you repeat one of the ways to communicate so we can write it down?
Repeat one of the ways to communicate for your brand? Is that what you mean, Joanne? Did she answer?
She said no. So let's see.
Yeah, so info@youmeshecollective.com. Yeah, please feel free to reach out. The other thing I want to just talk about, if you do go to my website, there's a new download which I'm really excited about. It's the In-Demand Brand Success Formula. It's a really fun cheat sheet of all the things that you need to create an in-demand brand as well. And it's very simple and easy to follow. Lots of pretty pictures. So
I am downloading that this afternoon for sure. Everyone loves cheat sheets. So this has been amazing. Thank you so much for taking time out of your day, Tiffany. It's been such an honor. And I hope we can have you back on the podcast in the future. And anyone, listening to the recording on iTunes or on Huzza, please check out Tiffany and let us know. Get in touch with both of us and let us know if this podcast has been helpful to you. So thank you so much.
Awesome.
And have a great day, Tiffany.
Thank you.